How warranted is the huge panic about processed foods, in your opinion?
Well, again, I think the devil's in the details, right? The word processed is a bit of a troubled word because if not for processed foods, you and I would be pretty different right now. Processing is what allows a lot of what we eat to exist. Now, I don't know that processed foods by itself inherently implies things are bad. There are lots of processed foods that are excellent foods.
What would be an example?
Oh, you take like a really natural form of like wild. I'm being completely biased because it's a company I'm an investor in, but it's the first thing that popped into my head because I had it for lunch today was our venison sticks, right? This company I'm an investor in called Maui Nui Venison. So sorry for the plug.
We've got some over there.
Yeah. That's processed food, right? Like it had to be, dried and put into plastic and salt had to be added to it. Look, that's a very healthy food. Now, is it as healthy as if I had just killed that deer and just eaten that deer right there? Probably not. I could probably make a case for why it's not. It's probably got more salt in it than it should, or et cetera. And those things are there to preserve shelf life. That's clearly a processed food that I wouldn't put in the same camp as a bag of Pringles. So, we can get into the secondary term of, hyper processed foods and we can talk about that. But I still think it's better to just talk about things from first principles as opposed to labels that are mildly descriptive but not granular enough to provide real value. So to me, I would rather say, a venison stick is more healthy than Pringles rather than say processed food is good or bad.
Understood. What about hyper-processed foods? Is that worthy of the current moral panic?
I don't know. Again, it comes down to there are enough foods in that category that are really totally garbage, right? There's no doubt about that. And the old adage that as you walk through a grocery store, most of what's in the aisles is indeed garbage. Most of what's on the perimeter is indeed good. And most of what's on the inside is processed and most of what's on the outside is not. So, look, I feel lucky because I enjoy cooking. I have the means to do it. I don't have to rely on processed foods because, again, one of the things that makes processed foods so appealing is not just the taste, but it's the convenience and the caloric density per unit dollar, right? You can get a staggering amount of calories per unit, monetary unit, at a great convenience, right? It's the further you can get away from what I call the sort of standard American diet, where it's with its four pillars, right? Which is, has to taste really good, has to be really cheap, has to be scalable, right? You have to be able to do it at big scale, and it has to be really portable and storable. So the solution to that problem is processed food. And the further you can deviate from those vectors, the better.